Okay, here is the non-i3 build that I was going to put in this case. So if you watched the other video and watched long enough into it where I installed these fans in this case, I explain why the system is actually not getting i3 in it. So when I eventually do order, I'm just going to order an i5 motherboard, CPU, RAM off a Newegg and not deal with Amazon on that kind of purchase. And so I'm going to go with an AMD in here, full AMD build. So it's going to have an AMD R5 5800G and a 5700 XT. So that's an APU. The 5600G is an APU. So here is the back plate. And see here, these two here up on the top are where your keyboards, where you would plug in the keyboards where the motherboard wants you to. So these are USB 2s, keyboard and mouse at old school style. And these are USB 3.2, I believe, all three of these. And then this is where you would plug in, like if you wanted to update the BIOS or you needed to do a BIOS flashback, you would plug it in here. This is where the connectors come out for you to screw in your Wi-Fi antennas, and it is Wi-Fi 6. And since it is an APU, you could go off this HDMI plug here or the display here. This does have a Type-C plug. This is another okay, so these are probably 3.0s, and this one down here is the, I don't know, no, I'm sure these are 3.2s, and this is a 3.2. So it has a 2.5 gigabit Ethernet, and then here's your audio down here. Just start, by putting this in. I have this on this little Lazy Susan thing. I think someone gave it to me. I don't remember. I bought it really cheap. I can't really remember. Okay, there's that. Looking pretty good. So I got the motherboard sitting right here. So do have a really nice cooler on here. It is heavy. It's a Be Quiet. I don't remember the name of it, but it has a 120 mil fan right here, millimeter fan here, and a 140 in the middle. And the board does have two separate connections, so it has CPU and optional. So these are run different. Has an 8-pin here for the CPU. The coolers are pretty decent on it. I had to go with this basic RAM. I did buy RAM to upgrade it, but I believe I ended up using it for something else because I just didn't feel like changing these out. And the original RAM I had in here, I had to change out because it was a higher, it stuck up higher. And after I changed this cooler, I couldn't put the original RAM back in it. So this is 3200. This one's 8, another one's 8. So it has 16 gigs of RAM, running at 3200. I'm not for sure what. Okay, it says SK Hynix. So it's an SK Hynix 512 gig SSD. It's an NVMe SSD. Okay. Yeah, you could put it here underneath heatsink, but this is where the board recommends you put it to get, the fastest speeds out of your drive is right here. And one thing I do like about it is you can see the Wi-Fi is here. I'll turn this over. So if you look here, there's two screws here. These two screws will lift this cover off, which you would have to take this heatsink off right here too. This will come off, and you would see there is a PCI card in here. It's the same kind like you would see in a laptop, or in like if you bought a Dell computer from like Best Buy or something, or HP, it would have one of them little small cards in it. So you can change this from Wi-Fi 6 to Wi-Fi 7 and downgrade it a little bit, I guess. It does have Bluetooth on the chip too, so it is Wi-Fi and Bluetooth on it. And you can see here's the USB ports, all these here. HDMI, since this is an APU, 6-core, 12-thread, these will work. I believe you could, they might even still work even with the video card in it, but you might have to change something, some settings in the BIOS for what is considered, what is it? Dual display? Oh, I can't even think of it right now. But you'd have to change in probably in the BIOS to get these to work while you had a video card too. I don't know why you would want to do that, but you know, you could. What's nice about, you know, an APU is if I gotta change one thing on here first. So let me get some other tools. So like I was saying, if because it has an APU, and you later on go and upgrade, you later on go and upgrade, or say your video card just went bad, and you got an RMA, you know, like, or it goes bad and you gotta buy a new video card while you wait for a video card, you can still use your computer with that APU. And in my testing, it performs, you know, in some games the NVIDIA 1030 wins, and that's a good one, not with the DDR, you know, GDDR4. It's a model that has a GDDR5, at least that's the one I had. It performs the same. Some games, you know, the NVIDIA 1030 will win, but not by very much. And then other games, the graphics for the APU will win. So it's back and forth. I think another somewhere. These are lining up, so got one more. So you can still have your system up and running. So yeah, you can still have your system up and running. And then another thing too with the APU is it, right? So you eventually build a whole new computer, right? But you want to carry your video card over for now, because you know you're on a budget. You want to spend a certain amount, and then later on you just upgrade the video card. So you take all the money that you have that you have on your budget to build your system. You put that in all the new components, minusing the video card, and you pull the video card off, you know, out of this system. If it was in here, you pull it out of this system, and then when you build your whole new system, you could put your old video card on your new system, and you could still sell the system or give it away, because it still would work. You wouldn't have to worry about putting a video card in it. It would work. Everything lines up. So yeah, I can, you know, once I hook the power supply in, all I need technically for this system to work right now is the power supply, and screw this in, put the power supply in. I could hook this monitor up to the outputs on this, and it would show a display. No need to have the video card in it. Yeah, so it's these screws out of this bag. I had a screwdriver for a long time, It says like 2,000 volts on here, like it's safe to run 2,000. Like, okay. I haven't tested that idea, so don't ask. As you heard, I kind of backed the screw out, and it locked in. You can hear it like a click sound. So if you back the screw out, you're going to get on the threads evenly. Some of these. Yeah, so this is a little different screwdriver for that one. So I turn it backwards, it makes that little clicking sound. And I don't screw these in all the way until I get all the screws in. Because sometimes you don't, you know, these stuff doesn't line up perfectly. You can't do like I just did, you screw it in all the way, then you back it out. This way you know the rest of the screws ain't gonna have a problem going in. We're looking good right here. Yeah, some of these screws don't want to start out very easily by themselves. Going back through and retighten these up. This cooler is huge. You know, it's going to be a little trouble getting the power supply, the 8-pin up here, but it does have a slot in the back of the brace here to slot it up through here and then plug it in here. Everything kind of looks good. Everything's in there. So let's put this right here. You can see that the little lazy Susan just can't cut it with all that solid weight on each side. So you just undo these screws here, thumb screws for the side panel. Set these off to the side. Yeah, it only came with two. Only thing that's not that cool about this case is it does have this blemish right here, so I will have to touch that up a little bit, but I did go through and use my little buffer wheel and kind of buffed this out and cleaned it up. So now what we need to do is, where do I want to, all these cables here can actually run up. Let's do one at a time because this is kind of, so then they can run up through here, grab them to the other side. I could do the same thing with this. Supposed to make it easier, making it harder. Lazy Susan's all in the way. I want to do the same thing. There we go. So them wires are popped through here. I don't need this freaking thing. So then, let's think. Most of these can run through this little hole here. Just type plug, so this goes on to the side. Man, these little fans like getting hooked in and everything. So this is the audio. This is power. There is no USB 2 on this case. It just has audio, and then power and LED and stuff right here. So the power LED can go down here, and this hole here, and same thing with audio. Can go right there. And this would go through here probably. So just flip this back around. I think sometimes these wires will decide that they want to pop right back there. So then we got the audio, which we're hooking down here, and then these here, again right here on the motherboard. You probably can't see it. So they hook in right here on the motherboard. So then we got, the first one is hard drive LED, negative, so this goes right here. This, why is it twisted there? What the? Okay. So here is the power LED. It's in here. Then the reset. I was going to try, I seen it in another on that black case. So what you can do is maybe not with the ones I have. I was going to say use these on the black case. You could put these on here, but on mine you cannot do that because I don't have a big enough thing here. So I guess never mind on that. But yeah, in that black case, it's like he put a lot of effort into making that case look really good, even that it didn't have a tempered glass pie panel. It's like most of the stuff you really couldn't see. So this is a shrink wrap, so when you heat this, it shrinks up. So he you know, obviously went in and put this around here, and then it's stuck down here just enough that it holds up here, and he put the, I'm assuming he probably plugged it in and then kind of heated and formed it, so you didn't see this part here. Which was nice. Now all the times, all the years I've been working on computers and buying used computer parts, I never seen anyone do that. I never. So now the question is, RGB's got to be hooked in here. So this is a fan. Here's the RGB for this one. These two can be chained off. Can I put? Yeah, so on this case, I will do it on these RGB. So I'm gonna chain these two together, and then this one I can. I guess I need to hook this one to the board because I don't think this one is gonna reach. It might. Let's see. It might reach because that header is right here. So yeah, it will reach. Okay. So then I'll take these. Put this off the side and. Purple lighter. So these would be daisy chained up to this one. So yeah, that's the only one it would need. This one here. Okay. So I'll put this slide it through more. And now these have arrows on them, so you just a little arrow here and one there, which you can see 3 and 3. So you just plug these in. These are pretty tight, but I'd rather, you know, just, this is one thing I have always done. So if you're gonna daisy chain like this, put these in here. You can see they're about in the middle. Then you just take, let me get this to stop trying to wrap around it. You just take a lighter. Okay, what the heck? Is this dying? What in the world? It's on high. Okay, heck with that lighter then. So as you see, it's shrinking down. Doesn't even need to be shrunk down too much, as long as it's just enough that it can't roll itself back outward. Like, even like that's fine. Like, I'm gonna do more than that anyways, but each side. Why is this not shrinking down enough? So that's I'm still not satisfied with that. Why not? The heck is this doing? Like, okay, there we go. So it you know, with this on here, these can't back out, so they won't come unplugged. So then another one can go right here, because these two are going to be daisy chaining off. Gonna go in there. So these are going to be daisy chaining off of this one here. Let's plug that back in. Slide this over. Too far. Seems good. Yeah, that one went way smoother. So now you won't have to worry about these like unplugging. Even if they kind of come out a little bit, they're still, no. I have never had it happen, but then I always have done this. Even if they come undone a little bit, it's going to be really weird if it did shorts or something. But I'd rather do that as a safety thing, right? I just do the wrong thing. Yeah, I just did the wrong one. So now this one here. How the heck did I just do that? What? So now they're daisy chained. These two are hooked together, and then this one's hooked to this one. Okay. What in the world did I just do? Okay. So I guess I'm gonna off here then, because I just hooked it in wrong. It should have knew that. It's going to go on really nicely because I just hooked the wrong one in. Should have went in the motherboard, and this is where it should have hooked in. slide that on through. Hook this one up. Make sure that they don't hook the wrong one up. Very close to the middle. I wonder why I went so smoothly before. What's up with that lighter, but for some reason it acts like it's not wanting to work. Okay, so there's that. These two. I'm gonna do this one too. Cover did stay on there pretty good, so you just grab that cover. So then you just a little cover to cover that up. That did stay on there pretty good. It was a fight to get off there. So now them pins ain't exposed. So now these are all, you know, daisy chained together, and using this little, this is where another, like a 2.5-inch drive could be hooked in. Actually using that to kind of route these cables are holding here. Weird, right? There's only one of them has capture screws. So now this can be plugged in. Excuse me, gosh. Now this could be plugged into the motherboard. Now the motherboard will control these fans. So at least in theory they should. I haven't tested that on this board. Now trying to figure out what to do with these fans. How many case fans do I have on this board? So it looks like there's one case fan here, then one here. Is that it? Only two? Yeah, that's what it looks like. Well, that's weird, but okay. So the two in the front will be daisy chained together, and the one in the back will not be. So, let's try to figure out how I want this fan. Where the heatsink is and hide it underneath the heatsink. And then bend it to kind of direct it. Cables to go back to the back of it. Okay, there's that. So that's halfway decent. So let's go with one's longer. So this one's a little bit longer, so we'll daisy chain off of this. And this will go up through here. I said. And then it bends up and plugs in right here. That is a PWM connection here. Same thing here. Try to get these cables through here more. There's that. Looking pretty nice so far. Besides the back, since there's no cable management done, back looks terrible. So now, I'll leave this like this and see what it looks like. Oh, you can see that pretty decently. So then, so I am putting this power supply in it. So it's the EVGA 650 GQ 80 plus gold rated power supply. So right now, only hookups that are on here is I'm running two separate, since it is going to have the 5700 XT in it. There's two separate power lines. So here's an 6+2, and then the other 6+2, and obviously they got the other hookups on them, and then 8-pin 4+4 for CPU power, and then the one for a hard drive, because right now it's going to have a 12 terabyte in it, but once I actually go to list it, it's going to have a 2 terabyte drive in it, plus it's a 3.5 inch hard drive, but it will have this 512 gig NVMe. The 2 terabytes is going to be for extra stores, like games you're not playing at the time. And no matter what, like if you're not running the operating system on, since you're not running the operating system on the hard drive performs better like that. So you're not, and the drive I have is like, a SATA SSD is around 500 megabytes for reads and writes, a good one, right? The hard drive the 2 terabyte that's going in here does like 200 for reads and writes, so it isn't that far. Well, it's pretty slow, but that's a good hard drive. That kind of reads and writes, and the only thing that's going to be reading off of it is your game, because everything else is going to be installed on the NVMe SSD. All your launchers, all that stuff will be on here, and then once you open your launcher, you just tell it to install the game to either the SSD, if for your main game, and then secondary games or whatever that ain't one of your priorities but you still play, you tell it to install onto the hard drive, which is kind of nice, because you think about it, if it's on the hard drive and some reason you need to do a fresh install of the operating system, you don't have to reinstall your game. You just reinstall it on the SSD, right? You do the operating system again, you install a launcher, and then you tell the launcher where the game is. So when it installs, you tell it, most of them will say locate this game. You tell it that the game is installed onto your hard drive. So then it would just verify the game's on there, validate it, or whatever you want to call it. It would check it, make sure it's good. If you haven't installed it, if you haven't ran like an update on it, obviously it's going to be like, okay, we see the game, you need to update it. Otherwise, it's going to be like, okay, we see the game, we're validating it, making sure all the files are good, the game's good. Now we know that it's there, so you don't have to reinstall it again from that drive. Which I think is nice. You would never lose, you never lose the game. And then if the hard drive does go bad, well, you lose your game, but you don't lose your operating system. So to me, that's a pretty good benefit. You know, yeah, you could add, you know, another NVMe onto this board, or a larger NVMe or whatever. If you still want that, you know, that little cushion of safety thing, you can just add another NVMe SSD to it. But it is way better than just having, you know, that kind of setup. If you're gonna run a hard drive, that, you know, still run your operating system off of an SSD or an NVMe. You know, like my NVMe right now, I have probably close to 4 terabytes just in games. Just in games alone. That isn't like my movies that I have copied to that drive too. There's like 500 movies on that drive too. I think it's close, because I use Handbrake to make it smaller so that each one is about a gig in size. So there's about 500 gigs of movies on that drive too. So you're looking at, you know, I probably have 4,500 gigs. Yeah, 4,500, 4,500 gigs on that drive. So if I was going to do an SSD of that size, I'd have to go higher than a 4 terabyte, because I need my operating system on it. And I do have, I believe, one game on the NVMe SSD. One game, maybe 2 on that. These cables can set out. So, oh, there's a huge opening. So, try with the 24 pin first. Just drop that to this back side. Two speakers need my magnet. Just that, route it to the back. Now this will be covered because it has a cover. Where is a cover? Way over on the other side of the road. So this is where the hard drive will be setting in. The latch is this one, nice to pick that up. But this cover will fit on here and cover that up. It slots in through these little slots here, and then one screw in the back, which I'll probably forget and not try to put it in here. Okay. So like I was saying, these cables need to go off to that side. This can come up here. I'll put this down. And it's kind of nice that I can't really see what I'm doing with my hands anyway. Figured that it'd be seriously hard to get in here. I see that I can't see really what I'm doing, because once I put my hands in here, they're in the way. Okay, there. I got one in first, and then trying to get the other one in, I undid the other one because it doesn't have a clip on here. me want to pull this board back out and just hook it in from the top and then put the board in. I didn't, thought it was going to be a hassle, but I didn't think it was going to be this much. Like, mostly it's because there's two cables in there. The two cables are not clipped together, so they both kind of are wanting to go their own separate way, right? So they're making it hard. Like if you go to move one, the other one flexes away. Yeah, see, like I can get one to start, and then the other one's like, I'm gonna flex to the left or to the right. Okay, I think I got them both. Yeah, got it. Golly. It's because it's cooler. Like, so that this, with this cooler, it gives you that upgrade. Like you know, that you can go with the higher end CPU in here, not worry about cooling it, because you have plenty of cooling. Cable management in this isn't gonna look the best. I only have, like, forgot to order some more zip ties, which I probably wouldn't have got anyways because it would have came with the other parts. That on now, if you look on Amazon, it says it's being sent back to the sender, to the seller, which is Amazon. So now it's going to go back there, probably be repackaged, and then resent back out. So I have to refuse it and have it sent back because no, I don't want it. You know, you can't give me the motherboard. You're not going to give me anything for my hassle on your delayed shipping or whatever happened to the motherboard to begin with. And then on top of it, my motherboard can't send. And then on top of it, something happens to the other parts I bought, like the box package was damaged or something. But now I can't get none of it until it goes back and then comes back to me. I'll probably have to inspect the stuff, or they'll have to resend me all new ones. Don't ask me why they would have to re-inspect it, but that's what they're going to do, even that it's never came into my hands. I don't want them. Them parts were supposed to be new. If there were any kind of means that they thought it was damaged on the way here, I don't want that stuff. They can do that. They can put that back on their Amazon warehouse as a returned item. To me, that is a returned item now, even that I never have got it. I don't want it anymore. I'm buying new. I want it to be new. I don't want it to be shipped out and then they think it was damaged in the process of being shipped, right? And then they turn around and just send it back to me with nothing. Like, oh, sorry for your inconvenience. That's all they're gonna say. Well, I could have had this already. I could have bought the board and the CPU and RAM, and it had a cooler on it off of eBay for less money than, you know. I didn't need the RAM at that moment, but I went ahead and ordered new RAM because it's best for compatibility issues. You would think you would want to have, you know, 1600, since I'm only running DDR4, a minimum of 1600, like. So just finish hooking this in. These all need to run back here anyways. Not for sure. I'm gonna guess I'm gonna put these two cables through this hole here. So you just go ahead and drop this in. These are quick release, so they just kind of pop this out right here, this right here. So like I said, right now, this will have, and this has a capture screw right here. This will have, for right now, this will have a 12 terabyte right now. But when I go to finally well, it's still going to have the 12 terabyte until I actually finally sell it. And then I'll put the 2 terabyte drive in it, which is a Toshiba. It scans out good. It's a drive from 2015. but it does have low usage. So that will go in once I actually go to list this and have this up for sale. Yeah, so you just grab the 12 terabyte for now. And this is my 12 terabyte drive. That will be a temporary drive in it now while I'm still using it, because I do like this AMD system. It is good, but I do want to go back to Intel. So I bought a whole bunch of these drives at one time for like really cheap. Didn't say anywhere on Newegg that these are basically the replacement for an external hard drive. Well, they're the exact drives they put in there, that Western Digital puts in their external hard drives, you know. So it's 12 terabytes. It doesn't have the flaw where you have to do like jumpers or whatever on here, you know, block one of these pins. It works like normal. But I didn't know that until I got it. And then I bought a bunch of these and some 8 terabyte ones. I had to actually write a ticket to try to figure out why my drive wasn't working for my motherboard. I thought my motherboard SATA ports were bad because I didn't have any other SATA drives at the time to test it. And then before I got the reply back, I seen a video saying you have to cover these. And that's when I realized all these drives I was buying from Newegg for, you know, like, I think like $50 less or $20 less than the black drives or the blue drives or whatever. So, you know, it is SATA 6 gigs. So this drive, this also reads and writes at 200. Like, I think it's 200 something for reads and like 180 something for writes. So it's still a decent hard drive. So this will be in here temporary, and then once I actually list it and put it for sale and the person buys it, I'll redo the operating system and with all drivers for, you know, the video card, the APU, all that, and I'll swap this out for the 2 terabyte drive. But all you got to do is slide this in one way. You can see these little clips here. They do have little rubber pieces in here, so it does cushion it. So you just kind of snap that in and then bend these over. Kind of hard. You got to line that up. Yeah, kind of annoying, right? Because they get so close and they want to bend that. They want to bend that into the right way. So there, that. Seriously? And the other side just freaking came out. Both little clips came out of this side. Wow, I never had this kind of problem with one of these drives. This is the first time putting it in one of these caddies. Yeah, let's try this other side. So them lined up perfectly on that side. And it's, geez, like what in the world? Okay, that's good. And that one seems good. Still seems like they're okay. Now they're fine. It still seems like they're not completely leveled in there. So I guess I'll slap this one in the top. You push it in so far that this will has a little hook. So right here has a hook, so it's like pushes it closer, and then this side will lock in like that. Now it won't come back out. Do the same thing with this one here. Put this one back in. Yeah, that's in there pretty good. And like I said, the cover will come on here and hide that. The SATA cable. So, I don't remember what one was one. I don't remember other SATA hookups on here. Was it now? Huh. That says 4 or 5. right here is one. I don't remember being like that. Okay. Maybe I'll swing this through here like this. That doesn't look too bad, I guess. See if I can. There's no hole right here. It can go way over here and then come over here, but then you have that much instead of that. So then all these fans just want to hook into everything. So then I'll take, oh yeah, now it's getting some weight to it, having all this stuff in here. So I'll take this, kind of poke through here, zip this up, plug this in. There's a SATA plugs. Here is a SATA, which I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to slide this in here. In case someone, I don't like doing cable management on these ones because if someone wanted to put another drive in here, they can, or they, they want to take this out. It makes it a lot easier, and it still looks clean. Like it's hid, it's out of the way. And there's that. So there's that hooked in. Technically, right now, this will work. Right now, this should come on. 8 pins hooked in, the 24 pins hooked in. You don't have this hooked in yet, but yeah, it should turn on and run. Yes, just check this out. So everything's hooked in. Yeah, yeah, I'm gonna wait on that. Just hook the video. Nah, yeah, I like to show that at least the APU is gonna work, right? So we'll hook into display port. Here this monitor is on. Get the power cord. It's like always on the opposite side of where I'm at. Switch off, hook that in. Okay, now I walk around this other side. Now there's no keyboard and mouse hooked in right now. Just see how it does and see what the RGB fans do when you first turn it on, since I haven't did any changes with the settings. Okay, hitting the power switch. See if you can see the monitor over there. Just kind of drop this one down and then do like this. Okay, so you can see this is a 22-inch. It is a 1080p monitor, so it's nothing really special about it. It's an old Dell. Power button's lit up. I hit the switch over here. You see if I hooked in everything right. See if I hooked in everything right. Okay. On. Did I not hook in the power buttons right? Or does that power button not work? Reset. How? I'm gonna jump in and see. Okay, what the? This is on. I didn't hook in the 24 pin. Oh my, yeah, you've been doing this for 20 years, buddy, but don't hook in the 24 pin. Hook everything back up. This power button, unplug this. Yeah, it won't power on if this is not hooked in. You just run this through. It's like both of them. It's like both connections are in them. It's got the slot here. You can see that. So it has a slot here, and that's where The 24 pin is like right here, so it lines up here. So this is like good. It's like plug it into the top and go down, or plug it in from the bottom and go up. Thinking I'm gonna go from the bottom one and go up. Sure these are lined up properly. Okay, that's in place. And the video came unhooked and the power line fell on the bottom. So you just go back around, walk around here to grab. The power switch is off, so I'm plugging it back in. Find where my video is, because I'm using an adapter, display port to DVI. So there's that plug back in. Okay, now you can see the monitor. It is a perfect shot of it. And turn a little bit more. Okay, that looks fine. Hitting the power button. Okay, now you can probably see inside. The RGB is lit up on the motherboard. That's normal for it. Power button's on, and there we go. And it's running the same theme as the motherboard. All the fans are working. Okay, there goes the blue light showed up, and you can't really see it, but there's that. What's it saying? It was saying something, I don't know, but there it goes. It's booting in the Windows. Everything's good. RGB is running off the motherboard, whatever's set for the motherboard. I never changed that. So yeah, it looks pretty nice. And now there goes. It just software probably started up, and look at that. It's doing an awesome job changing the colors of it. So see that? Pretty bad, right? There they go. It's probably set on default, which is just like, I don't know, like what you would call display mode. Yeah, the system's up and running. There's my background. Can you see my background now? And there's my background. I actually got this. I actually screenshotted this. It's off a video. If I can find whatever video that was, I'll put that on the screen. I'll put that in the link to the video. It's like relaxing noise, relaxing music, I think it was. It always shows up on an account that I'm not signed into, but mine it never shows up to. But I think I do have it saved as a watch later. Yeah, you can see everything's up. Everything, all my stuff showing up at the bottom, so it means it's showing the hard drive. Yeah, there's that. I had to finish the cable management and then work that back in. I do have the front off here. Yes, I'll snap that in real fast for you to see that too. Like what it look like with the fans on. You know, I did a video already showing that, but I did get this front cleaned up pretty good. It was scratched up, but now it looks pretty good. Like, so then there's that. You can see that doesn't look half bad, right? So it's got the two RGB fans in the front and the one in the back, and the motherboard also has that little RGB strip on the inside. So you're getting like a total effect. Can I get that cord to reach? To hold it because it's like half. So you do get that RGB effect. So you get it from the fan here, the two fans in the front, and the RGB from the motherboard. And like I said, it's a good piece of plexi right here. So you see in here, you see this giant cooler, all this RGB, and you can see what I mean by white case. It reflects off of this, so that looks really nice. Like, yeah. I have to go through and let the motherboard, you know, recalibrate the fans and get them to sync right. So basically what I mean when it recalibrates, it ramps your fans up as it sends power to your fans, so they go, they speed up. Then once it hits that point where no matter if they send more power to the fans, they just set there. So then it knows at like this much power to it, the fans won't run any faster, right? So it knows never to send more than that in it. So it knows at this many volts or this many amps, the fan is running at 100% at this point. So there's no need to push more to it. And then it knows it slowly drops them down, until the fans just like shuts off. So it takes time to do it. I think at first it does the low part, so it goes to low, it keeps sending lower and lower volts to it, and then when the fans turn off, it kind of slowly amps them back up, and then when the fans turn on and start spinning up again, it knows this is a minimum power that we can send these fans and they'll spin up. Then it goes up, and then it knows. So it will know where the fans minimum can turn on and the highest setting they run at. So that seems really, yeah, that's a lot. Once I get it together in the cable management, I try to find some more zip ties. I know I just got another bag. And I have a bag full of white ones, like 2 of them. Because at one point I had to buy, because if I need to buy them quick, I go to Walmart. Sometimes they'll have the black and the white ones together. I don't really use the white ones, so maybe I did, maybe I didn't. I don't know where they are, but I have to find them. Unless I can work with 3, and I do have some Velcro ties, I might have to use them too. Get this really clean, and then restart the video up again and show you the after effects on what it looks like once I do all the cable management. And I put the little cover on the power supply. As you can see now, I'll give a rough example. This is a TUF Gaming motherboard with the 5600G, 16 gigs of RAM, a 2x8 running at 3200, a 650 watt 80 plus gold rated power supply, 512 gig NVMe SSD. As the time of selling it, it will have a 2 terabyte hard drive in here, and then the AMD 5700 XT will also be in this computer. So as you can see, you don't even need a video card to have the system up and running. You're good to go. So if your video card fails, you can pop it out, send it off to do your RMA. Well, my video card I think is out of date, out of warranty now. Probably not by very much though. But say you put another video card in here, or that video card dies 2 years, 3 years, 4 years from now, right? And you're still using this setup, you can still take that video card out and you can still run it. You can still, by then you probably won't play too many modern games, but you could pull out some older games. At the worst, you play on low settings at 1080p or whatever, lower settings, and you can still keep your games playing. You can still use your computer for basic use still while you're waiting for another video card to come in. I also was thinking about putting the NVIDIA 980 Ti in this system. I've been running it for a couple of days. It seems fine. After we swapped the dies over, someone said it might have just been, might not even needed to swap the dies over. He was really looking at it through a microscope, and it doesn't look like it's cracked. Looks fine, but you look at it, it looks like it's cracked. But once I get the time to go back out there, we're gonna put that back on it, and then we're gonna take that part of the board that was cracked and kind of dig into it, get all them traces kind of in a spiral thing, kind of like instead of a crack like this, they're gonna come out this way, so each connection won't do it. And if I have to, I can jump them off with like a jumper wire or something and just keep that card for myself as a backup. Or I could sell it to someone and tell them, hey, this was cracked at the bottom. It's not guaranteed how long it'll work, but it'd be like one of the cards that give away for like free. Like you can have the card, it might not work very long, it might work for a while, but I doubt if I do that, I just keep it as a backup. If it works, I'll just keep it as a backup, because then I still won't have a cooler for it. I still have the water block for it, so I won't have a cooler for it. So I had to buy a cooler, which I couldn't find before. That was decent, because before when I looked up the cooler, I find coolers for them, but they would almost be the price that I can buy the card for. So I was always like, well, I'm not buying that cooler because I could just buy the card for a little bit more and it will work, you know? So yeah, I'm gonna cut the video here and then I'm gonna do the cable management, get the cover on, and then show you again how it looks when it's up and running with the 5700 XT in it and all this stuff. I don't have any benchmarks for it right now. I don't think re-benchmark it, but yeah, I do like these fans. They look pretty good and they do flow some air and you don't really hear them. Like, this is nice. Okay, this is where I'll put the second part of the video in. Okay, here is the final version of it. I did cable manage in the back a little bit. 2 zip ties needed. All the wires come together decently, so you don't really see anything through here. I wanted to make sure no cables were visual through this spot because it's white in the background that show the black cables. So here is a 5700 XT. 2 separate cables. So this is a this one's a 6-pin. This is an 8-pin. This is a 6-pin. You can see the covers on it. Look, looks pretty good. Let's see if you can see that. So yeah, it looks pretty good inside, right? Cable management's decent. Video card's back in. Yeah, just grab the cables again. Still no keyboard and mouse hooked in, so it probably, you know, probably do a little pop up because I just put the video card in, so it's got to switch to the. It would have to switch back to knowing it has a video card back in it. So the power's off. The hard part. Trying to. Okay, and then going from display port to the DVI because that's what this cable is running to it. It does. That monitor does have a display port. I don't have a cable running to it, so run into the display port. Power's hooked in. Should be all good to go here. Might help if I turn the power button on. So here we go. Here's that system up and running. You see that in the background? I got the thing too far, and the screen's not turned on, so I'll power the screen on. It's a blue image, so it is turning on. It's gonna have to kind of do its thing because it's got that, and there it goes. It posted up. Same thing as before because it just recognized that now it has a video card in it. So there you go, up and running, and the fans look really nice. So just there's the software kicks in, so that's why the fans kind of blink. Some, you know, software runs the fans, so it's gonna be dependent on what the software says. So here we go again. Got that rotated, and there we go. You could definitely see. I'm gonna grab the side panel. Here is the side panel. There it is with the side panel on. You can see the big, you know, giant cooler on it. So there is no keyboard and mouse. Yeah, I don't know if you can see, but it looks like it's scratched up. Like I said, it does have the little foil still on here. So this will look this glass is going to be should be flawless. You know. Yeah, it looks really nice. Like that cooler takes a big chunk of it out, but look, that's nice. Like, cable management is not perfect, but it's, you know, it's good. Video cards up, drivers up. Obviously it should be because I didn't do anything different. And already had an OS on it, already had stuff on it, so it already has my games and all that stuff on it. Like I said, when the person comes to buy it, I'll have a fresh install of Windows 11 Pro on it, and the 2 TB drive in it, so none of my games and stuff like that will be on it, and I will do a clean fresh install. This system usually doesn't have anything important on it, no security threats from it if someone tried to do a data recovery on it. Honestly, I had a lot of people try to buy computers, like it was 2 months ago, a month ago. I had to do 100% interest in one of my computers, and to the point that I told him that I installed a brand new drive into it. Not a fresh install, but a brand new one. Then all of a sudden he's like, oh, now he's not interested anymore. Once I mentioned that that's a brand new drive that had no data on it before, so this is the first time Windows has been installed, all of a sudden he's like, oh, I don't want it. So that's the first thing that would come to my mind, is this dude's buying, because it wasn't a high expensive computer. So so in my mind, I was like, he's buying lower end systems to try to do a data recovery on them and try to steal information and stuff on it to get into people's bank accounts. You know, because the computer will remember who you are, right? You did data recovery. It's like I'm in there, so I can get into my bank account with no password or nothing, right? So he could try to do, like, send money from my bank account to, like, using, you know, transferring it through an app, whatever you want it. You know, it's kind of tricky, but yeah, once I told him it had a brand new drive in it, the fresh install Windows, he changed his mind on wanting it. But up to that point, he was flabbergasted about it, like, oh, like you know, like someone was giving him a brand new Lamborghini for free, and they were actually paying him to register and everything. Like that excited, you know, like a little kid, like you're handing a little kid an ice cream. That kind of excited he was, until I mentioned that it's a brand new drive with a fresh install of Windows on it. Then he's like, oh, I don't want it. I don't want it. But on the way up here, he was talking about he was wanting a bigger case. You know, the computer he has now, he is looking for a bigger case, so he wants a large case, large computer, and that computer was in a large case. Then all of a sudden, he's like, the excuse he used why he didn't want it was like, oh, that case is bigger than, I want a small computer. But on the way up, he's like, I want a bigger computer case so I can, you know, for all these other, you know, better, you know, better airflow, better, you know, just bigger case. He just wanted a bigger case for he can add more stuff to it if he wanted to, or whatever he wanted. But he was saying he wanted a bigger case, he wanted all this, and my computer was perfect for what he wanted. But then I showed him all worked and went through it all, made sure the specs were right, and I told him this is a fresh install. This is a brand new drive. It's a fresh install Windows on a brand new drive. No one's ever used this drive. It's brand new. And that's when he's like, oh, actually, I don't want the case is too big. So he went from wanting a big computer to wanting a small computer right after the fact I told him it had a fresh install of an operating system on it. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, that's kind of funny. But as you can see, it's done, it's up. This build was what it's going to turn out into anyways, but originally I wanted to throw the i5 system in here and mock it up, see how it looked with the i5 system, with the i3 system in it, and then I was going to change that over to the Fractal Design case is silent, because I was going to keep the i3 system for my media/gaming computer and then sell this one off. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to sell this one off, whatever, you know, whatever I make off of this plus 160 from the trading from that guy, right, from the trading from him. I'm going to use that 160 plus the money I sell from this just to buy a bigger, you know, use that to put into another system. I shouldn't, because the only thing I really need is the media/gaming computer. So basically I could get away with like an i5 8500, still 16 gigs of RAM, running a dual channel, and then running like a 1050 Ti in it or something like that. It doesn't need That system doesn't need to be big, like, but my brain keeps wanting to just be like, yeah, you need more. So I went from replacing the X99 motherboard, instead of just replacing the X99 board, because it's like, oh, for a little bit more I could just get a board, a CPU, and maybe reuse that RAM. So it went from that, from a $160 budget to a $200, and then $250, to end up being around $300. It's like, so I doubled the budget that I wanted to spend. So I might just go back to trying to find a board with 4 DIMM slots, an i5 8400, 85 something 8th gen, so it natively will support Windows 11, right? And 16 gigs of RAM and SSD, and plus I like to get it where it will still be supported if they ever bring out Windows 11. Maybe for my system might still support Windows, that next version of Windows that comes out for that system, so I wouldn't have to replace it. But yeah, I keep thinking that, but I don't really even need that really for the media center. It's not really going to be online that much. It just, I could even get away with like the system I sold a couple weeks ago for $100, like, besides put a video card in. So I could go with an i7 4790, even just a regular 90, you know, 16 gigs of RAM, then the 980 Ti would go in it. But I say i5 8400, so I can still use the same RAM I have already. Since I have RAM, I have a power supply, I have a video card, I have the case, so I'm going to look for the smaller board, same size as this, to put in the fractal design. So I'll have an 850 watt 80 plus gold rated power supply. Dude, I gave that dude a power supply, and that other computer was an 850 watt 80 plus titanium rated power supply. I forgot all about that. That was a new power supply. I forgot all about that. So yeah, dude got a way better deal than I expected, because I was assuming I could just rebuild the system with the same performance and still have the same amount of money if I just sold that system off. But yeah, I can't get that performance, like CPU wise and RAM wise, for that $160. I just, with a good motherboard and stuff, yeah, you could do an OEM board, but that was a super nice board in that computer. Yeah, he called back and said there's something right with the TPN that was wrong. It's like, I didn't, well, when I got that system, it had a drive already in it with Windows 11. I just cloned the drive over to the SSD. I didn't even do a fresh install of Windows, so I never thought about it not having a TPN module. But then he's like, Valorant needs TPN 2.0 to run. I was like, why does a game need TPN 2.0 to run? It's a security setting, but the game shouldn't have anything to do with that. And it's like, if you have Windows 11, they want it. But if you have Windows 10, you don't need it. That's nonsense that a game would do that. And if I bought that game and I didn't have, I wouldn't, like, sometimes I don't even have TPN enabled on my system, right? So even if it has TPN 2.0 support, I don't have it enabled because I don't need to have that enabled. So sometimes I just won't have it. So they're forcing me to have something enabled that I don't want to just play the game, but I can do it in Windows 10 and not Windows 11. That's weird. Yeah, I haven't heard back since, so you must be happy with it. Yeah, that was the main part of that system that was the highest was the case, because it had tempered glass on both sides. It was amazing case. Plus, it had a 360, radiator on AIO in it, liquid cooling loop in it. It wasn't custom, but AIO. So it had that in it. Same thing, brand new 512 gig SSD from this. From this right here, probably even came from this package here. Like, I don't know why I keep this in my drawer, but these are normally what I put in a computer that doesn't have an NVMe slot. I put a 512 gig SSD in it. These are coming really cheap. They usually cost me around $25, I think. So that's really nice. 3-year warranty. So all the computers I sold within the last 6 months or so, I've been putting these drives in it. So even that is a used computer, at least they know they have a warranty on it. Do you remember if something goes wrong with the drive? I even told them most of the time that if they get a virus and they need the computer, you know, I won't go through and clean your computer out. All I do is a fresh install. So if you have something go wrong with your computer and you need a fresh install, I'll redo that. Then if the drive is bad, I'll start the RMA process, and they can, you know, because most of the time you got to pay to send these in. They'll pay the shipping there and back if that's what these. I never RMA'd one of these, so I don't know. But they'll pay to do the RMA, so they'll pay the shipping on it to have this sent back, and they'll put the forwarding address to their address. I won't know it, what their address is, because they're the one who will. I'll just start the RMA and they'll finish out. I'd be like, this is what you got to do. Here's the paperwork that says what you need to do. You send it in, and then that's it. I'll send them a message through Facebook like it was sold through, and then of the receipt. Then they'll send off the drive with the receipt, all that stuff, or do whatever the RMA says with the receipt, and then send the drive off, and it will be sent back to them. And then when they get the drive, if they don't know how to do a reinstall of the operating system, I'll do that for them and do all the drivers updates, right? As long as I'm still working on computers, right? Because they're not a client, they're not someone who's going to pay me. They need one that pay me huge amount of money extra for it. It isn't like they pay me extra $200 or $100 or $300 to build a computer for them. Most of the time, that computer is less than what I would charge for a fresh install of an operating system. Clients who pay me $99 plus tax to do a fresh install of an operating system, because I do all the drivers. And if they have the software on disk, which most of the time they don't, but if they had the software on the disk, I'll put that, install it too, and put their key in, so they'll go back and they'll have their stuff set up like they should be, you know. If they had a backup drive to it, you know, I'll do a backup and, you know, whatever. But, you know, yeah, that's what I tell them most of the time. They bought the drive, it's new, they still have an RMA on, and they can RMA if it does go bad. I haven't had one go bad. If one has, no one said anything to me about it. But 512 gigs is a decent size. I have tons of people buy computers from me, and they're like, I always notice one thing. They always say they need more storage. Like if I was selling cheap computers with 250 gig drives, right? Like, well, I need more storage. I need more storage. So I was like, well, that 250 gig drive at the time was costing me like $5 or something. So it's like I can minus $5 off of it, and I can add a 1 terabyte drive to it for additional $20. So for basically $15, as long as that drive still function that was in your, you know, well, it's not sold yet. So I'll be like, well, this drive, the 1 terabyte drive cost me $20. This drive cost me $5. So I keep the 250 gig. I just clone that 250 gig over to the 1 terabyte drive, and you can have the 1 terabyte, and it will be $15 more due to the 1 terabyte. And they're always like, well, I thought you said the 1 terabyte is $20 more. It is $20 more, but since I'm keeping the 250 gig, that's $5. That cost me $5 for that drive. So then that means you only owe a difference of $15. So I'm like, okay. And then a year goes by, and they're like, hey, can you clean my computer out? I just need it cleaned, or, you know, no nothing done to the operating system or nothing like that. So I'm like, okay, I'll clean it out. It shouldn't need to be cleaned. But so they bring it to stop it by, or they want upgrade on RAM or something like that, right? So I get their computer, I look at it, I boot it up, you know, to test if the RAM still works. And I'm like, if I remember, I'm like, this person is the one that was complaining that they needed a bigger drive. So I check, and it's like, I don't check the files, see what files they have on it, but I open it to see how much disk space they actually used, and it's like they're at 100, not even at 100 gigs. I'm like, they had this computer for over a year, and they swore up and down they needed it bigger than a 250 gig drive, and they haven't even used 100 gig, and the operating system was taking, you know, 50 something of that. So they used, you know, like 20 gigs at most they have used, but they needed a larger drive than the 2 terabyte. And I was like, it doesn't really matter. They pay the difference, but it's like, and I get people like that all the time, like, and then eventually I work on the computer or they trade it in for another one. They don't wipe their system, and it's like they needed this 2 terabyte drive, but then they have nothing on. They might be using 50, 60 gigs, maybe 100 gigs, but they didn't need a 2 terabyte drive, like they said. Most of the time people think they need a huge drive when they don't. Like, there's people that I put 80 gig drives in it, and they have never ran into a problem with not enough space, because they only use it for emails, watching YouTube. They don't download anything and install anything like games or nothing. So they're just like, I need a bigger drive, but then they never use it. It just sits there and has all that free space. They pay extra for it, so it's no big difference. But yeah, most of the time the average user doesn't need a huge drive. That 500, like this 512 gig, most people will probably pay like 3 games. My average, they play Valorant, Apex Legends, CSGO. Them games will be pretty, I don't know about Apex and them, but you should have plenty of space to run that just off the NVMe SSD. But yeah, this video is going to get long because there's 2 parts, and this is like 20 minutes. But you can see the system's up and running. You slide this on the side again, because you can see the monitor's up. There is the monitor. Can you see the monitor? Yep, monitor's up. You see the system's up and running. The RGB fans are doing its thing, which look amazing in this case. Especially since it's white. It looks better in person than it does on the camera, because all the light kind of reflects off the white. Yeah, this is awesome. So you got 2 USB 3.0s on the top. Hard drive indicator light right here. Power button has a light built in. Here's your reset. Here's a microphone. And here is the headphones. See, I'm going to shut this down really quick. Okay. See the system shut off? It's normal. The RGB stays on the case. So I hit the power switch. Unhook this, let that drop to the floor, and I will rotate this around. So then again, can you see? Okay, so you have 2 USB 2.0s. These are probably 3.0s, I can't remember, but this one here is where, if you're going to do the BIOS update or a BIOS flashback, you plug in your flash drive here. It needs to be FAT32. This is where you're going to put antennas. Your antennas will hook in here. I have them in a drawer, so I have to pull these out because I have different antenna hooked up to it that won't come with this machine. It has HDMI out and display out right here. These will not be the ones you should be hooking up to. If you buy this computer, these are not the ones you're hooked up to unless you have removed this video card. And here's a type C plug. Here is this is definitely a 3.2 USB right here. This is 2.5 gigabit Ethernet right here, and then you got your audio stuff here. And then on the video card, you have this is a display port, an HDMI, another display port, and another display port. Then down here on the bottom, you have your power switch for the power supply, where you plug in your power supply here. And it does also have, you push this down, this little tab. You see that? Push this little tab down, and this is where the filter is for the power supply. So that goes in there. It's really only filter in here. But yeah, this is, turns out pretty nice. That's sticking up, kind of annoying. Thumb screws for each side of these. It does suck. It does have this little mark right here. Let's see, right here, but I will touch that up with some white paint. I did already go over and kind of buff it just like you would do your car, buff the outside of it to clean it up. It's really nice and smooth. This is the only blemish I see in it. Okay, now we'll go back to the front. And this is not tempered glass, it's just plexi. So you have the outside here, and then the plexi does still have the protective thing they put on it when they're doing for shipping. So this is still on here. It's kind of peeling in the corner. That started doing that recently. I was doing that. This was actually up all the way. So, you know, like I said, if you're buying this, that's why I'm going over to all the stuff that this has, and you can peel that off. This will look brand new underneath here. It should look brand new underneath it. So then you got a Be Quiet cooler. That's huge. You see how huge this is? 120 millimeter fan right here. That's in the front of it. That blows air this way, and a 140 mil in the middle that blows that way. So it has two large pipes here. If you compare these two in size, just one half of this is bigger than a Hyper 212, which is a common cooler, budget cooler. So this is larger than one of them. So this is more than double the size of a Hyper 212. So most people know what a 212 is because it's a budget cooler. But this thing, these fans don't even have to hardly spin up at all, because this cooler is sitting on just a AMD Ryzen 5 5600G. So it's a 6-core 12-thread APU. That means it's a CPU and a graphics on the chip. So it has built-on graphics. What is it? Radeon 7? Is that Radeon 7 graphics? Which happens to be, in my test, it goes back and forth on games. Some games the NVIDIA 1030 would win. This is a 1030 that has a GDR5 RAM on it, not the GDR4. So this is comparing to a GDR5 NVIDIA 1030. So some games the 1030 will win, and some games the APU will win off of this. But when this wins, it's way more margin of FPS higher than when the NVIDIA one wins. So you can play some light esports games just off the video card. Just off the APU alone, you don't need the video card. You could pull this video card out and resell it and just keep the rest of the system, and it would still work. And you could do some light gaming on it. Or you keep the video card in it, and then later on, buy a whole new system 2 or 3 years from now, and use your whole budget to buy the rest of your parts and just carry the video card over, and then later on buy a new video card. So this system will still work with or without the video card in it. It will still fully function. So it has a 512 gig NVMe SSD, so it means it's a fast drive. And then it will also have a 2 terabyte hard drive for additional storage for, you know, like you can tell the drive to instead of downloading to the SSD, you can download to the hard drive. So everything you download can go to the hard drive itself. And then games, same thing with pictures, videos, all that can be directed to the hard drive, like documents, all that stuff can be directed to the hard drive instead of the SSD. So you know, you're pulling a picture up, it doesn't need to, it will pull up pretty fast even off the hard drive. And what's good with having a hard drive set up like this is that your operating system won't be running off the hard drive. And the hard drive's down here, right? SSD's up here. So your operating system won't be running off this. Only thing that will be running off your hard drive would be your game, unless you install other programs that have to run at the same time. But everything should be installed onto the SSD. So the loaders, you know, the launchers will be on here. You will direct the launcher to tell it to install to the hard drive. So only thing running off the hard drive is the game. So it has it can use a full potential of broadband that's coming from the hard drive. So it's not, you know, it's not the operating system isn't running off the drive. So you have that a little bit more horsepower coming from the drive. So your games will load a little bit faster than just having an operating system installed onto the hard drive itself and no SSD. So your games will load a little bit faster running it on this hard drive and then having the operating system on the SSD. It just runs like that. And I've been running it like that for years. Like they say you need, like the new Cyberpunk 2077, they say they recommend having on an SSD. I have no problem running Cyberpunk 2077, and I have it on my hard drive here. It boots up within, maybe it's not going to boot up as fast, obviously, but it doesn't have any problems. I don't see any micro studying or nothing like that, because the only thing that's running at that moment from that drive is the game. Operating system and everything else that's running in the background is running from the SSD. So yeah, this video's long, but that's the end. You know, if you made it all the way through this long, probably hour-long video, thank you. You know, if you're the person who bought this and you made it all the way to the end of the video, thank you for buying it. You know, you'll knowing that the cash you spent to buy this will go into more parts. More parts will mean more videos that I will upload and, you know, add to my hobby, add in one more step to my hobby instead of just fixing the, you know, pulling the computer apart, cleaning it all up, basically kind of refurbishing and putting the computer back together and then retesting it. Now I'm doing all that plus recording it. Why I'm doing that? So, like in this stead, only thing I didn't record was the cable management, because that's kind of annoying. I didn't want it even that much longer. So, yeah, thank you for watching. Thank you for buying if you're one that buys it. If you're local in the Cedar Rapids area, you know, hit me up in a private message. Send me a message saying, hey, yeah, I like to buy this. I come pick it up. Or if you live farther and you want to drive all the way here because I won't ship it, you want to come all the way here to pick it up, then you can do that, you know, but I won't ship. And another thing is, if you in this area and you're like, hey, I just need my computer worked on, you can drop it off. You know, I'll clean it up. If that's the only thing you need, I'll fully go through and clean it up, add new thermal paste on it. You know, I'll post a video of me cleaning it, testing it, making sure it works. I don't replace parts because I don't have the connection that costs me tons of money. You know, like this is a hobby. I don't make money for this part like this right here. The stuff I do to make money is separate. It is computer related, but it's separate from here. This part of just buying used computer parts and cleaning them all up that's part of the hobby I do. You know, it's kind of weird, right? Yeah, but in aspect of doing that, of buying used computer parts, fully cleaning them up, putting them back together, testing them, and then reselling them. I've been doing it for like more than 20 years now. So you end up with a good computer. I end up with money that helps feed more of my hobby of buying used computer parts, you know. And if you have any questions after the fact, I still answer questions. It ain't like, no, you buy it and then never, you know, you message me because you have a question about it. Like, can I put some more RAM in it? Can I upgrade the video card? Can I change the video card? Like in this system, can I not run the video card? I want to put it in my new system. I'd answer back, you know. And if you did want to upgrade the video card but you didn't feel safe with doing it, I could do that for you, and then I'll install the drivers for you too. You want to upgrade RAM? You buy the RAM, I'll put it in. Same thing with the video card. You have to buy the video card. Just not going to randomly like, oh, I want to upgrade my video card. I can already see now, I want to upgrade my video card. I'm going to drop it off, upgrade it for free. No, I won't do that. You have to buy the video card. You have to buy any parts that you want to upgrade it. So say they wanted to upgrade the CPU. They don't want the APU. You buy it. I'll swap it out for you. You want to buy some more RAM? I'll install the RAM for you. You want to buy a new video card? I'll install it for you. If you don't feel safe doing it, I'll do it for you. You want a bigger NVMe SSD? I'll clone this. You buy it. I'll put it in the second slot, and I'll clone the original over to the secondary one, and I'll wipe the old drive. Move the new drive back to the top, move the old drive to the bottom, or leave it out. It depends on what you want to do. And and I don't even have to wipe this original drive. I can just leave it alone. If you're not going to reuse it in the system, so say you wanted to go with the 8 terabyte drive, NVMe in here, I can put it in the second slot, clone this one over to that one, and then put the 2 terabyte, 8 terabytes back into the main slot. Then you could keep that 512 gig NVMe SSD as your backup. So if anything happened to this drive, all you have to do is put it into the bottom slot, clone that drive back over to this drive again, because you'll have a backup of it. And like if you do have pictures and stuff, you always would know, as long as that drive still works and it's not plugged in, you just plug it back in and you could do a recovery from that drive. You won't even have to do a recovery on your main drive. You just clone it back over. If for some reason you can't do a recovery on your main drive, you could just clone it back over, and you just need to do updates and reinstall. If you haven't done anything different to the system, right, you just installed, if you got a bigger drive, as long as you're not using more than the 5 512 gig NVMe, you just clone that drive back over, and then you'll just have to re-download whatever you're missing. So if the operating system gets so corrupted that you can't do a recovery on it, you still have a slight recovery of it, because you can just clone the drive back on. You put it in here, clone the drive back off to your larger drive. Obviously, if you have an 8 terabyte drive, you probably have a lot of stuff that you would lose, but at least you have your main operating system, all your drivers, everything will be back. You just need to do like some updates, or if that drive broke for some reason, your new drive, you just swap them back out, like easy as pie. But I guess this is the end. This is the build with at first it was going to have the i3, but since I'm having the hassle with Amazon, it is now fully AMD build. Thank you for watching, and if you buy it, thank you for buying it. Now I just got to put the video together.